Hello and welcome to another episode of Scott Reads Comics. Today we continue our journey through the official handbook of the Marvel Universe Deluxe Edition with issue number 3. Issue number 3 of 20 in this epic double-sized series. And here we have another John Byrne wraparound cover. Again, showing our heroes in dynamic poses, moving forward towards some unguessable goal. This was published in 1985. Let's dive in. Okay, so Mark Gruenwald is our writer and producer. Peter Sanderson is the writer-researcher. Elliot Brown, technical illustrator. Joe Rubenstein does the inking and embellishing of all the figures presented in this book. Howard Mackey is the assistant editor. Andy Yanchus colors all the figure work on the new art in here. Brenda Mings is the typesetter. James Fry is listed as the art retoucher. I don't recall him being credited last issue. Of course, John Byrne does our cover. Barry Shapiro does the production. Don Geiger is also on production, and Jim Shooter's editor-in-chief. And here we start with an opening essay by Mark Gruenwald entitled Scientific Method. I'll just read the first paragraph. The second most frequently asked question I get about the official handbook of the Marvel Universe, right after how did you decide who gets in and who doesn't, is how the heck did you gather all the information to write each entry? Well, it wasn't easy. I'll tell you that much. And we, meaning co-writer Peter Sanderson and I, didn't sit down and read all 25 years worth of Marvel Comics taking notes either, as some folks have speculated. Since we're all friends here, and I need a topic to fill this space anyway, let me give you another glimpse behind the scenes as I describe how we write and research entries for Marvel Universe. So he goes in a step-by-step method on how they do it. I'm not going to get into all that. Let's get into our entries instead. So we start with Cloak. Tyrone Johnson, his occupation is a vigilante, drawn by Rick Leonardi, one of the artists most closely associated with Cloak and Dagger. Very appropriate choice, and he looks pretty awesome. And then we have lots of panel shots of his powers in use, his ability to envelop people. He's another one of those mysterious wielders of the Dark Force. So pretty cool. We got a cool little Frank Miller panel there. A lot of Al Milgrom here, too, from Spectacular Spider-Man, I think. So he gets a good long entry. Next, we have Cloud, sometimes member of the Dynamic Defenders. I think one of our first kind of gender-bending characters in Marvel. We see here that she was actually two beings, male and female. Really nice artwork here on this long kind of panel. And she gets a lot of text in her write-up. Craig Hamilton, very nice work there. And we have some Don Perlin artwork here. So yeah, interesting character. Defenders got sort of very strange toward the end. J.M. DeMatteis was always one for the Baroque, esoteric, and mystical occult stories. And Cloud's inclusion was no different there. We have Cobra, one of my favorite classic Marvel villains. Excellent artwork here. Let's check our artist. Ron Frenz. Awesome Ron Frenz, channeling a little bit of that Kirby vibe there for Cobra. The Cobra possesses the normal human strength of a man of his age, height, and build who engages in regular exercise. He's one of the few characters who isn't drawn as being totally jacked, which I kind of appreciate. I wish they would do that more often, especially for your super strong characters. The Cobra possesses certain unusual physical powers derived from his mutagenically altered physiology, which among other things help him simulate the movement of a snake. So it goes on to list all his powers. And again, we get our first awesome cutaway and technical drawings here from Elliot Brown. Totally awesome on Cobra's wrist shooters. Very cool. And I think this might have been from a cover. Maybe a Spectacular Spider-Man cover, but that's a great image. Great shot there of him, actually his wrist shooter in action. Just a great costume. Marvel loved those characters with the purple and the green. They mix so well together on the palette in those early newsprint issues, and he looks great here. Collector, one of the immortals of the universe. Yeah, he is Tanelier Tavan, as we know from his appearances in the Marvel movies. And this is a great shot from the Avengers, the Korvac saga era of a cover. I'm not sure. It might be a Perez cover, actually. Very cool. Strength level, unknown. Although all elders possess the capacity for virtually unlimited strength, some have chosen not to develop it. So he is an elder of the universe. I misspoke there, not an immortal of the universe. As an elder of the universe, the collector possesses an immortal body immune to cellular deterioration of aging and impervious to conventional harm, disease, penetration wounds, etc. So it goes on to say that he chose not to develop his powers, rather than he followed his obsession to collect stuff. And even there's one sequence, I think, in an Avengers story, probably from this issue here, where Hawkeye is about to defeat him, and he tries to summon his cosmic might, but he's just so out of practice that he can't do it, and Hawkeye takes him out. One of Hawkeye's finest moments. He is 6'2", 450 pounds, so he's super dense. Very cool. A little shot here of the temporal assimilator, one of his devices in his ship here. Oh, great shot of Colossus here. This looks like a Dave Cockrum. Let me check here. Yes, a nice appearance here from Dave Cockrum. And strength level. In his normal human form, Peter Rasputin possesses the normal human strength of a man of his age, height, and ability who engages in intensive regular exercise. As Colossus, he can lift press at least 70 tons under optimal conditions. It is believed that since he is still a teenager, his strength as Colossus has not yet reached its peak. And since he appeared in 1976, I think, or 77 maybe, 76, and this was published in 1985, he's been a teenager for about 10 years, and when he was probably 17 or 18 then. So Marvel time is strange. We get some nice action panels here, some Romita Jr. mixed in with some Paul Smith and John Byrne, and a little Cockrum. Very cool. Yeah. Nice work there on the Colossus entry. Constrictor, one of my favorite of Marvel's lesser villains and a frequent player in my Villain Mission Force games. Very cool. And this is a great picture of Constrictor here. Let's check and see who our artist is. Tom Lyle. This must have been some of his earliest professional work. Wow, because he went on to have that long run on Starman for DC Comics. Cool here, him from a Power Man and Iron Fist issue that I think I covered. This is, I think, Dennis Cohen here in this particular panel that they took from the comics. Another Elder of the Universe appears, the Contemplator. Toth Key, a little or used one as well. Kind of a cool character, a cool image there. Kind of looks like a baby Buddha type. What was his first appearance? Well, his other current alias is Mr. Buddha, by the way. Marvel Treasury Special number 1 is his first appearance. His base of operations is the universe. So I guess wherever you need him to be, he can be there. I guess when you're an Elder of the Universe, that's what happens. So, cool little character. The Controller, Jim Starlin designed character, very cool. This might be a Keith Pollard Controller. Oh, no, Al Milgram. Good job, Al. We're going to get some Jim Starlin panels in here, too. Very cool. Strength level, the Controller, aided by the permanently affixed exoskeleton, can lift press about 1,000 pounds. When the exoskeleton is empowered by siphoned cerebral energies, his strength increases to a maximum observed level where he can lift press about 50 tons. So yeah, he was this creation of Thanos, I believe, or he was augmented by Thanos, and he could drain people's psychic energy with these controller discs. Not only controlling them, but also siphoning the energy to make them stronger. So yeah, so go ahead and write that up in your average superhero RPG system. Not an easy task. Very cool character and a nice piece there by Al Milgram. Corruptor. Let's see. What character is he? Oh, he's a Nova. I guess he's a Nova villain. Nova number 4 is his first appearance. What was his shtick again? He has the power to subvert the will of virtually any living being by mere touch. The sweat glands of the corruptor's skin release a highly potent psychoactive chemical that, upon contact with another person's skin, triggers a metabolic change that overrides the inhibition center of the brain. Very cool. Yeah, neat design too, kind of menacing looking. And we have Corsair, Cyclops' father, Space Pirate, Major Christopher Summers, member of the Starjammers. First appearance, X-Men 107. Origin, X-Men 156. Now this is Cockrum-like, but I don't think it's Cockrum. This is obviously Cockrum in the action panel here, but this is someone else channeling Cockrum. Let's take a look. It is James Fry. Nice work by production artist James Fry here on the Corsair. He looks great. Another great member of the Serpent Society, Cottonmouth. Very cool. I love this sequence where we see him slowly opening his mouth using his powers. That's cool. His mouth is superhumanly strong, but he isn't. Rich Buckler. Nice artwork, Rich Buckler. Crimson Dynamo. Very cool Iron Man villain, but also fought a Hulk, as we see here, a number of times, and the Avengers in that great X-Men Avengers crossover where the Soviet super soldiers show up. That's later on in the 80s after the publication of this book. Great design on this armor, though. Is this Bob Layton? Let's take a look. Yep, it is Bob Layton, the artist I most associate with Iron Man. Bob Layton, very cool. And we get that awesome Elliot Brown cutaway technical drawing of the armor, which is totally great. Really cool. In the Crimson Dynamo armor, the wearer can lift press 60 tons. So that's pretty cool. And he has all the other, basically all the other Iron Man-like powers. Flying, blast, environmental immunity, things of that nature. Crossfire first appeared Marvel 2-in-1 number 52. I associate him more as a Hawkeye villain. But I think that one might have been Thing and Moon Knight. Yeah, it is the Thing. And together, the Thing and Moon Knight managed to destroy the prototype of Crossfire's machine and defeat his primate army. Crossfire himself, however, escaped. Then he shows up to menace Hawkeye in Hawkeye's limited series, drawn by Mark Grunwald, actually. Very, actually well drawn by him, too. He didn't do much, but that was one thing I remember him doing. He has no real powers of note. Does have kind of a cool costume. Crusader. He showed up in Thor shortly before, let's see, what's his first appearance? Thor 330. So this is kind of when Thor was just sort of dragging along, and he was just another of the many foes to show up and fight Thor during this period before Walt Simonson came along in Thor 337 and blew Thor up and rebuilt him into the most awesome character in Marvel at the time. But nothing against this guy. He's decent. I mean, he caused Thor to have a crisis of faith, basically, but sort of maybe now a more problematic character. But I don't know how much he's been used since this appearance. He can lift press roughly 20 tons by their estimation, because I guess he could fight Thor, so they figured he was at least that strong. Crystal, classic Inhuman character. We're going to see some cool Byrne and Kirby panels here, and we do. Very cool. She has elemental powers. This is an interesting note here on her strength level. Crystal possesses the normal strength of a female Inhuman who engages in moderate regular exercise. Due to generations of eugenics, Inhumans are superior to humans in strength, reaction time, stamina, resistance to injury, and speed. But they don't really go into how much. So is she as strong as a human weightlifter? Or we don't know. But, it's kind of left for fans to debate. Cybele or Cybele, I'm not sure about the exact pronunciation of that one. She is an Eternal, one of the Eternals. So she's got all kinds of cool powers. I think she showed up in the Eternals Limited. Yeah, Eternals Limited Series number 1. This was the Sal Buscema one, which I think had some Walt Simonson covers, but I think this is Sal's pencils right here on Cybele. Yep, Sal Buscema pencils on her. She looks great. all of these Inhumans are like Swiss Army knife characters. I mean, they have super strength, they can fly, they can project energy, they can, alter their atoms. I mean, they're just incredibly powerful. Now, each one specializes in one thing or another. Like, Cersei's really good at transmutation, and Makari is really fast, but they're powerful characters, and having them on any team is problematic because they can outshine everyone. Cyclops, that is Jackson Geist there. It has to be, with that X Factor costume, which I do not like. I much prefer his original costume. And we get some Byrne, we get some Paul Smith. Yeah, Scott Slim Summers. He's never really drawn as Slim, even though they call him Slim. Look how jacked he is. So that's always something that bothered me. Draw him skinny if you want to call him Slim. Make him look skinny. Like, make him look like Cypher, for instance. Before we go on to Cypher, really nice technical drawings here on how Cyclops' visors work and how it's triggered from a button in his gloves. Really cool stuff here. So, then on to Cypher, Doug Ramsey, aka Doug Locke. Kind of a neat character, actually. He's a superhero whose superpower is absolutely not combat oriented at all. He's basically a superhuman polyglot. He can speak and write and understand any language, and it was kind of cool. And he ended up befriending that Warlock character and melding with him, and I think he dies at some point. I don't remember the exact circumstances, but not when this is published. He's still alive and a member of the New Mutants. Dagger, that's Cloak's other half. I believe that's a Rick Leonardi as well. Let me double check. Yep, another Rick Leonardi piece. Very nice. She was always really lithe and drawn as kind of a graceful fighter and just cool. The Cloak and Dagger characters are really cool characters. This is neat here how they put one of her light daggers in there. Her power is kind of the opposite of the Dark Force, so it was kind of neat. I think she gets a lengthy entry. Here we have a cool entry on the Daily Bugle and all the staff. Pretty neat. Anyone there's Betty Brant. By this time, I guess she's married to Ned Leeds, so she's Betty Brant Leeds. Robbie Robertson, always my favorite character from the Daily Bugle. Really cool. And yeah, these other characters I don't know, except for, of course, we know J. Jonah Jameson, Spider-Man's Menace, and all that. Great shot of Daredevil. So here's again one deviation of from the original handbook to this one. For Daredevil's strength level, we just get engages in intensive regular exercise. In the old one, it actually it categorized his strength as him being able to lift press 450 pounds. I kind of preferred that. I like that sort of like gradations of detail for the non-super strong guys. It was always neat to see that. And this entry is awesome because we pretty much get every action shot as Miller. I mean, they knew what they were doing here. They just picked awesome Frank Miller action shots here and just had them presented to us. Just totally great. And it goes on the next page. And he rates a 3-page entry just because he's so cool. And then we get a nice drawing of his billy club when it's assembled into a cane and taken apart. So really cool stuff here. All Frank Miller, all great. Dark Star, another wielder of the Dark Force, member of the Soviet super soldiers. Known superhuman powers. Dark Star possesses the ability to tap and manipulate an intense black form of extra-dimensional energy called the Dark Force. She's basically like a Green Lantern, except with black energy. So, kind of cool. Can fly, shoot blast, and trap people. And we have Dazzler here. This is a cool Dazzler in her kind of X-Men Outback style costume, or maybe right before she joined them. Let me take a look here. Who draws this? Bob Layton. Really nice work there by Bob Layton. Really sharp pencil work. And we get some shots from her limited series, which is from her ongoing series, which I think once she adopted this costume, her series was canceled shortly after that. Not that this costume caused it. I guess they were trying to turn things around with a new look and a new direction, and it just didn't work. Great burn panel here from her first appearance. Very cool. Yeah. Great character. And we have Death, Thanos' lover. Very cool shot of Death. Who drew that? Let me see here. David Mazzucchelli. So well drawn. Good work, Mazzucchelli. Wow. This has got to be early Mazzucchelli Marvel work, too. I don't know if he was doing Born Again by this time or not. That might have been 1986 or 87. Here we have Deathurge, brilliantly drawn by Dave Cockrum, who I believe created her. Really cool character. Deathurge's strength is many times greater than that of the average human being. She possesses sufficient upper torso strength to lift press 6 tons in Earth's gravity. So very cool. This is from that Avengers 189 when she fights Hawkeye. That's some great burn artwork there in that warehouse. Very cool. Yeah. How fast can she fly here? Let me see. They usually give good information like that. If I can pick it up. Yeah. Deathurge's wings, which span 18 feet, enable her to fly like a bird in level flight at a maximum speed through an Earth-type atmosphere of 63 miles per hour. Why 63, Mark and Peter Sanderson? I wish I could ask you guys that because it just seems like such an arbitrary number. Now, maybe they went into an encyclopedia and found the flight speeds of certain birds, and that number was in there, but just round it off to 60 or round it up to 65 even. Just sort of strange. And there's a lot of like unround numbers in this throughout this series that kind of make you go, Oh, Deathlock, great character. I wonder if that's Mike Zeck. Take a look here. It is, yeah, Mike Zeck drawing the heck out of Deathlock here. He looks great. Yeah, I believe he can lift press up 2 tons under optimal conditions. So we get lots of cool cutaways and technical drawings here showing how he's built. Very cool. Luther Manning, Deathlock. 6'4", 395 pounds. Very cool. And we get a little, it bleeds over here. We also get his gun, Deathlock's gun. And then we get the Death Throws, some cool Hawkeye villains, some gimmick villains here. Again, just like with the Circus of Crime, playing these characters in a Villain Mission Force game would be a lot of fun because they're just goofy characters that can't really do a lot, and you kind of have to improvise and get creative with what they can do. And having them fight even someone simple like, I don't know, another villain like Manbull or some mid-tier villain like Pile Driver from the Wrecking Crew or something, that would be a huge challenge for them and it would make it fun. Having them pull off some kind of caper would be fun. Yeah, but they're cool. Deathurge, associated, with Maelstrom. There he is there. Deathurge is a wraith-like superhuman entity whose origin is unknown, who appears to be a messenger of death. Deathurge can fly at great speeds, become intangible at will, and draw forth from his non-reflective ebony body a variety of simple weaponry such as spears, axes, and bows and arrows. He reminds me a little bit of the gimmick of the Black Racer from DC, but he's a little more obvious on the nose in terms of what he's there to do. So, cool looking character. I do remember him showing up in those storylines. Then we get an entry on all the demons from the Marvel Universe and explaining maybe a little bit about the tangled cosmology of the various demonic individuals: Asmodeus, Baphomet, Thog, Satanish, Mephisto, Balthazar, Gaia, Yagaran, Set, and Chithon. So, cool. Love the headshots there. Oh, and of course, and it goes on. There's even more. I forgot it went on to a second page. So very cool. There's Dormammu rates an entry here with them. Despair, who's used quite a bit. Zarathos, we know better as the Ghost Rider. That was the demon behind Ghost Rider's powers. On here to Destiny. This looks like a Paul Smith to me. I think it is. Let's take a look. Yep, that's a Paul Smith Destiny and a John Byrne panel here. So her primary power is precognition. Irene Adler, which is probably, of course, Claremont read Sherlock Holmes, so I'm sure that's from there. The Deviants, we get a nice 2-page entry here on the Deviants, very cool, with some Sal Buscema headshots going all the way through, and some stuff maybe from I think this is all from the Eternals Limited series, so very cool. Diablo, we get a John Byrne Diablo entry here, and we get a mix of Byrne and Kirby in the action shots of Diablo. Real name, Esteban Diablo. Now that's destiny. Occupation, alchemist. Legal status, Spanish citizen who has moved to Transylvania with a criminal record in the United States. Well, I think he's hundreds of years old, so who knows how far back his records go in terms of his criminality or whatever. Known superhuman powers. Diablo possesses no superhuman powers except for prolonged life and vitality granted him by an alchemical elixir, which he must partake of from time to time. So all his powers lie in the potions that he brews, which all have superhuman results if ingested. So, great character. Diamondback. I love the Diamondback era of Captain America when she was sort of Cap's on again, off again girlfriend and companion and partner. Very cool. They later did a different costume for her. But this one's cool too. She definitely had a very 80s vibe going on with her, but she was a much more layered character than originally Mark Gruenwald started out with. I think he sort of slowly developed her over time. Another great thing about her too is her kind of real proportions. Like she's 5'11", 142. Like some of these, I haven't really dwelled on this, but a lot of the measurements for the women in these books are just completely unrealistic. Not Deathurge, she's 5'8", 180, probably because of her dense alien musculature, but 5'6", 125, 5'5", 115. I mean, it goes on. It's just, a lot of it's just unrealistic. But anyway, that's cool there. Her measurements seem in line with, her body type or whatever. And she first appeared in Cap 310. Doesn't have any superpowers, but is highly skilled at throwing her diamonds and hand-to-hand combat. Rachel Layton is her real name. Occupation, professional mercenary. And I'm pretty sure that's Paul Neary artwork there. And we get an awesome Doc Samson entry. And this is another entry that where he was, like the Blob in last issue, he was terribly underrated by Gruenwald here. In the original Marvel Universe, he could lift press 70 tons, which is about where he should be. In this one, he, for some bizarre reason, he's downgraded to 25 tons. It makes no sense. And this is his new emo costume. I much prefer the old costume. But I think we get here, we get a lot of Byrne action here in these panels. Oh, this is from Hulk Annual 7. Totally awesome. Love that Layton Byrne artwork in that story. Love Doc Samson, one of my favorite supporting characters in the Marvel Universe and in the Hulk in particular. Dr. Demonicus, very cool costume design here. Who did this artwork? Let's see. Dr. Demonicus was by Tom Christopher. I think he was an inker for Silver Surfer in the late 80s, early 90s. So this is some early Tom Christopher work here. Really cool. His first appearance was Godzilla number 4, Origin Godzilla number 5. Dr. Demonicus possesses the normal human strength of a man of his age, height, and weight who engages in minimal regular exercise and is suffering from a debilitating skin disease. Well, that's too bad. He has no superpowers, but he is a brilliant geneticist, as evidenced by this panel here. Dr. Doom. Totally awesome. And this is a Byrne entry. A great shot of him here from probably FF260. Yeah, that's him blasting Tyros in that ill-fated attempt to once again undo the Fantastic Four. Doom is 6'2", 225 pounds. I'm assuming that's outside of his armor. Doom's armored suit contains an electrically powered endoskeleton, which enables him to lift press approximately 2 tons. And yeah, it gives him a number of other Iron Man-like powers, like flight and power blasts and things like that. And we get another brilliant technical drawing / cutaway of the armor. Get a shot of how his jetpack works. Very cool stuff. We get a little shot of Doom's castle with a nice aerial map, which is really great. Again, if you're doing RPG stuff for Marvel, this collection is invaluable as a resource. Super cool. Doom's, after he first puts the mask on, very neat. We get a number of doctors in this issue. Is there a doctor in the house? The answer is yes. So we have Dr. Druid. He had his first appearance is Weird Wonder Tales number 19. He had a couple appearances in the Hulk. Here's him from that issue going against the Mahayogi. But he later on became more famous as a member of the Avengers and then kind of as a mind-controlled betrayer of the Avengers. But he has some pretty interesting measurements too. 6'5", 310. The dude is totally jacked and he's huge. But he has all of these quasi-mystical powers, which are pretty cool. Doc Ock, I mean, he's one of the signature Spider-Man villains. 5'9" and 245 pounds. He's a bit portly. And it goes into, let's see here, how strong are those arms? Each of his tentacles is able to lift approximately 3 tons, provided that Octopus supports his harness with at least one other arm in order to prevent the chest harness skin interface from bearing any part of the effort. So I guess with 3 tentacles, he could lift press 9 tons, which is cool. And who is that? Is that Ron Friends doing that? Doc Ock? John Romita Jr. Very nice John Romita Jr. work there. And that's obviously some classic Ditko. And then we end with a brilliant cutaway and technical drawing of Doc Ock's harness and individual tentacles. Very cool stuff from Elliot Brown. So pretty awesome. I'll read you the last paragraph of the scientific method column from the begin and the inset page of the first part of the book. Rest assured, my friends, that all the information contained in the deluxe edition of the official handbook of the Marvel Universe is the best available at the time we gather it. When further information, be it supplementary or contradictory, is available in the future, we'll just have to revise this blame series yet again. But for now, all we can say is, if it's in the handbook, you'd better believe it. We do. Mark Grunwald. Very cool. Let's read one random definition here from the glossary. Oh, here's a good one. Pym particles. A theoretical particle discovered by Dr. Henry Pym that enables size changing and mass shunting. See entries on Ant-Man, Goliath, and Pym Henry. Very cool. So yeah. That has been our read-through of the official handbook of the Marvel Universe, Volume 2, the deluxe edition, issue number 3. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Leave a comment below. Let me know what else you'd like me to cover. And I'll see you again soon on another episode of Scott Reads Comics. Thanks for watching.